Yeah.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. I have to admit to you before this video starts that this is not a typical video that I wanted to make. This isn't the kind of videos that I like making. And I personally take no pride in putting this video out. But desperate times and desperate measures, I guess. I've tried several times to film this video, and I've choked up every time and broke down. So I'm going to ask that people have some patience with me if that happens during this take, because it's obviously going to happen. For anybody who knows my history with cancer, my experience with this disease, you know the story about what got me into this business to begin with. For those of you that are coming here for the first time, or maybe that are new to the channel, I'm just going to give a quick cliff notes so people understand why what I have to talk about is so important for me to step up and say something and discuss other things. During the pandemic, my mother was diagnosed in her mid-60s with mesothelioma, which is an incurable cancer. She was battling whether or not to stick around. She was depressed. Like everybody gets depressed when they're given news like that. It's a death sentence. I remember sitting with my mom the year before she passed, talking about chemotherapy treatments, and she honestly was ready to give up. She didn't want to get chemo. She was throwing in the towel, and we had convinced her that time with us was a good thing, that we wanted every minute we could get. And she heard us, and she fought like hell to get time. Now, unfortunately, Justin Trudeau and his goons stepped in. They shut the world down. And of course, because when you get chemotherapy, your immune system is essentially massively compromised. And any kind of sickness, whether it's the flu, a common cold, it can do somebody in. And again, we wanted as much time as possible. We were told 2 weeks to flatten the curve. My wife and I were pregnant with our third child at the time, and my mother exhibited a lot of negative opinions about it, and we knew that it was because she was upset she wasn't going to be around to see her grandson. She was already missing out on 2 of my children growing up, as well as other family members with their children. So there's no fault on that. But essentially, during the lockdowns, I wasn't allowed to sit with my mother. I wasn't allowed to go to the house. So the entire time that she was undergoing chemotherapy and putting her body through hell, at the accord of the government, we were talking over FaceTime. We were unable to assist my father, who was essentially trying to run a home business, a home office, while also devoting as much time as he could, to the point that he almost was willing to allow his business to disintegrate in order to look after my mother, because she was everything to him. I hated watching her body deteriorate. I hated watching this nasty, nasty disease take its toll on my mother and see her leave this earth possibly a couple decades before her time. When she passed in 2020 and was put into hospice or palliative care, I've often talked about how you had to go into the facilities, and the staff were great. I'm not faulting the staff, because they're just doing what they were told in order to keep their jobs. And I know people say with police and say, hey, I'm just doing my job. These are workers that provide care, and I don't want to fault any of them, because they did a great job. But you had to fill out the checklist. You had to answer their questions. They had this silly gun thing that they put to your forehead to take your temperature. On the day my mother died, I arrived at the facility, walked in the door, and the nurse tried to take my temperature. The thermometer wasn't working. She went to get a battery for the thermometer and was gone for probably about 15 minutes. And 5 minutes into her leaving, while I stood in this hallway waiting to gain access or entry into the palliative care unit. 10 feet away, my mother passed away. And I got a phone call from my father telling me that she was gone. And my biggest letdown was that before she went into palliative care, I promised her that I would look after my father. I promised her that I would be there to make sure that he was okay. And the government stopped me from following through on my promise right off the bat. I failed before it even started because I was outside of a door being told, we don't want your dying mother to get COVID-19. I never will forgive the government for that. I will never grant amnesty to the government for that. Justin Trudeau robbed me of my final days with my mother. Now, that's not what this video is about, but I wanted to give a history, and I'm apologizing that I'm rambling. I just wanted to be very clear that when I made How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom, as humorous as it was a smack at the Prime Minister for what he did to me. And I just keep it coming on this YouTube channel to him because I hope he has his day. We all know he's not going to get it. But where does this leave me now? Well, some very close friends of mine, I've known for quite some time. My friend was pregnant at the same time my wife was pregnant with our first child. Our daughters were both born less than a month apart. And we're very close. Their daughter calls me uncle. I call her my niece. We're very, very close. My daughter and her are best friends. And a couple weeks ago, I was late for a live stream, and I didn't want to tell anybody anything. I didn't want to get into it. And I did talk about it on this last Friday's live stream, but I wanted to put this video out because not everybody who watches this channel is able to attend those live streams or get into those live streams. And I've always been a person who has never asked for anything on my channel. I don't ask for super chats. I don't ask for money from people. But my friend's daughter, my niece, has been diagnosed with cancer at 9 years old. And we got the news just before I was supposed to go live a few weeks ago, and it was very hard to do that show. It was very hard to keep my composure because I know what it's like to sit in that hospital room and watch this absolute shit show. And I feel so horrible for my friend's family, for what they have to go through. And the outlook is looking very good for this family. I am going to say that right off the bat. This does sound treatable, and fingers crossed. But as much as I don't like services like GoFundMe, especially after the Freedom Convoy, I wanted to take a minute to talk about a GoFundMe that has been set up for the family because they live outside of Calgary. Both the mother and father, they have another kid. So they're trading off all the time. They've got family support, but they're taking time off of work to be in the hospital. They're losing hours at work at a time when costs are expensive. And I know putting this stuff out there at a time when life is expensive for everybody else isn't fair for me to do. I know it's not fair for me to ask for help. But I'm going to do it anyway. Because if there's one thing I saw from Canada during the Freedom Convoy, it's that people in Canada are still amazing. And as much as Justin Trudeau tries to divide us, we've always maintained that spirit of what it means to be a true Canadian. And the one thing I've always been proud about is that we've always helped each other at times of need. And my channel's community gave an outpouring of support last Friday. In fact, I tripled the donations that we got in super chats on that live stream. We raised $500, which accumulated to $1,500 that I'll be giving to that family. And it was the best $1,000 I've ever spent. But I guess I wanted to put this out here for anybody who watches this channel, anybody who watches my content. If you're a member of this channel, cancel your memberships this month. Give the money to this instead, the $5. I don't care. Anything anybody can give at this point, please. This family has a very, very long road ahead of them. The appointments, the chemo, the traveling, the loss of work. It's not going to threaten their jobs because their employers aren't that cold. But Justin Trudeau has made life so expensive for everybody that I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to get through this. And I know you're seeing there's a substantial amount on the screen already. And it's only gone up because great people have contributed. It did not start out at this level. And they're very grateful for everybody's support. I'll have a link below in the video's description if anybody wants to give to this amazing, amazing family and support what they're going through. I really hate this disease. I really hate this disease. And part of the reason I made this video is because of my disgust once again with the government. That if we stop talking about stupid things like fake climate crises and scandals and carbon taxes and really focused on what we could do to help people and make people's lives better, we'd probably already have a cure for this disease. In fact, I'm convinced with the technology we have these days, there already is a cure for this disease. There's just no money in curing diseases. That's my personal opinion. And boy, like I said, I really hate making videos like this. I really hate putting content out like this. And it's not normal. It's not something that's going to reoccur on this channel. But I want to help them the only way I know how. And that's by appealing to you, the viewer, anybody who's ever been in this spot, anybody who's ever put up their hand and wished that somebody could step in. Again, if you can't give, it's okay. Thoughts and prayers are great. Forwarding and sharing out the campaign costs nothing, and it helps more ways than even giving money. So please don't think I'm judging. If anybody can't give or if anybody's in a tight spot, I understand better than anyone else what it means to be living check to check and say, I just have nothing. But I'd be very remiss and I'd be kicking myself if I didn't take an opportunity on this platform to plead to anybody who sees this to help this family. Usually I ask people to subscribe, and I'm not even throwing that into this video. I'm not talking about nothing, just other videos will be coming. And I really thank anybody who's got this far in the video, anybody who's listening still, for hearing what I had to say, for clicking on the video. And I can assure you that this kind of content won't continue. But thank you for watching, and God bless each and every one of you. And I'll catch you on the next one.